Hey guys, welcome back to Beyond the Box Score, and I am your host Hayat. Today is February 27th and we're breaking down 3 NHL matchups: Golden Knights at Capitals, Winnipeg at Anaheim, and Minnesota at Utah. And I'm attacking this slate the same way I do on camera: messy, thinking out loud, connecting the situational dots, the goalie angles, the momentum swings, and where the betting value actually shows up. We've got Washington as the home favorites in a wild card race spot, Winnipeg sitting at plus 110 with the goalie edge conversation front and center, and Utah laying the 135 in a back-to-back elevation setup against Minnesota. And on top of the sides, I've also got 2 player prop angles I'm looking at based on how I see these game scripts unfolding. If these matchups play out the way the trends and spots suggest, there are a couple individual performances that could quietly cash. This is pure analysis and opinion, nothing guaranteed, just me walking through how these games could realistically unfold if the situations connect the way they look on paper. Alright, let's get into it and start building these scripts. Golden Knights at Capitals, the lean here is Washington as the home favorites. Let me walk through why. So I'm looking at Golden Knights at Capitals, and the first thing that jumps out to me is Vegas coming off a win over the Kings 6-4, and Washington coming off a win over the Flyers 3-1. And both of these teams are coming back from the break, so there's that rhythm question, right? Who's sharper, who's cleaner, who carried momentum through the break? On the season, Vegas is 2,816-14 while Washington is 30-23-7, so Washington with the stronger overall record, and now they're going to be the home favorites in this spot. That matters to me because Washington has won their last 4 games straight at home. And when I see last 4 games straight at home combined with being the home favorites, I start building a script in my head where this building matters, the energy matters, especially with Washington in a highly contested spot for a wild card. That urgency angle connects for me. Now Vegas did win that high-scoring game over LA, they were able to put up 6 goals, and they did it without their 5 Olympians, which honestly is impressive on the surface. 6 goals is 6 goals. But I can't ignore that Adin Hill had a brutal night in that game. He gave up 4 goals on only 19 shots. 4 goals on 19 shots, that's not a volume problem, that's an efficiency problem. If this matchup plays out like Washington pushes pace early, and they have a fairly aggressive offense, and they get a lot of shots on net like they typically do, and if we do see Hill in net again, then that 4 goals on only 19 shots stat starts echoing in my head. Because Washington isn't shy about putting pucks toward the net, and when you combine an aggressive offense with a goalie who just gave up 4 on 19, that's a path. And yeah, Vegas scored 6 goals, but that game finished 6-4. That's not exactly defensive lockdown hockey. Washington's win over Philly was 3-1, described as convincing, and they played well on both sides of the ice. So one path I see here is Washington dictating structure, not letting this turn into another 6-4 type of game, forcing Vegas to defend more than they want to, especially considering Vegas is 2-4 in their last 6 on the road. 2-4 in their last 6 on the road isn't disastrous, but it's not dominant either, and now you're walking into a building where Washington has won their last 4 games straight at home. It's also the first game of the season between Vegas and Washington, and that matters psychologically because Washington dominated Vegas last year and beat them both games. They kind of spanked them a little bit in both matchups. That's not ancient history, that's something players remember. So if this matchup plays out like Washington comes in with that confidence from last year, plus the current wildcard urgency, plus the 4 straight at home, and Vegas may be riding a little high off that 6-4 win, that's a situational edge I can't ignore. What connects for me is the combination of Washington being the home favorites, having won their last 4 games straight at home, being in a highly contested spot for a wild card, and facing a Vegas team that is 2-4 in their last 6 on the road and just saw Adin Hill give up 4 goals on only 19 shots. If Washington's fairly aggressive offense gets rolling and they get a lot of shots on net, especially early, I can absolutely see this tilting toward the Capitals controlling the script. Yeah, Vegas is 2,816-14. And yeah, they just scored 6 goals, but Washington at 30-23-7, at home, 4 straight home wins, dominating Vegas last year and beating them both games, that's a cluster of signals pointing one direction for me. If this matchup plays out like Washington leans into that urgency and plays the same balanced game they showed in that 3-1 win over the Flyers, then I think the home side handles business. So when I put it all together, the 6-4 Vegas win, the 3-1 Washington win, the 2,816-14 versus 30-23-7 records, the 4 straight at home, the 2-4 in the last 6 on the road, the 4 goals on 19 shots from Hill, the wild card urgency, the first game of the season between these teams after Washington beat them both games last year, yeah, the lean sticks at Washington as the home favorites. Winnipeg at Anaheim, the lean here is Winnipeg plus 110. Let me walk through why. So I'm staring at Winnipeg at Anaheim and the first thing I'm asking myself is who's going to be in goal for Winnipeg and does it even matter? Because Buck is one of the best in the game, and Comrie is coming off of a fantastic start again, he's been hot in between the pipes, he's been playing exceptionally well. So if this matchup plays out like a goalie battle, I already lean Winnipeg because Winnipeg is expected to be the better team in goal. That's not a small edge, that's the backbone of hockey handicapping. Now flip to Anaheim and yeah, they are red hot. They've won 3 straight. Going further back, they've won 10 of their last 12. I have to respect that. You don't win 10 of your last 12 by accident. But what connects for me is digging into how they're winning and what they're giving up. They've allowed 22 goals in their last 6 games. 22-6, that's almost an average of 4 goals per game. That's not nothing. That's defensive leakage. And yes, they've scored at least 4 goals in each of their last 3 games and all of those were wins, so the offense is pushing the pace, they're trading chances, they're comfortable in chaos. But they also have a 7-4 loss on the ledger, they're coming off a 6-5 win, and they've given up 3 goals in multiple games recently. So one path I see here is Anaheim trying to turn this into another 6-5 type of script, but Winnipeg long-term does not give up much. They've had a few games where they've given up bigger goals, sure, but for the most part and long-term this Winnipeg team does not give up much. If this matchup plays out like Anaheim pushes tempo again, but runs into Buck being one of the best in the game or Comrie staying hot in between the pipes, then the 22 goals in their last 6 games stat becomes the difference. Because I trust Winnipeg's defensive structure more than I trust Anaheim's ability to keep the puck out of their own net. Anaheim has only had 1 game since the break, so rhythm is still settling in, while Winnipeg already got a much-needed win right out of the break, and that win was on the road versus Vancouver. Road confidence matters. Now they roll into Anaheim and then at San Jose on this road trip, and I can see a path where they stack momentum. They already got that win on the road versus Vancouver, now they've got a chance at Anaheim and at San Jose to really put something together on this road trip. And at plus 110, I'm not being asked to lay juice. I'm getting Winnipeg plus 110. If this becomes a goalie game, edge Winnipeg. If this becomes a structured defensive game, edge Winnipeg. If Anaheim's trend of allowing 22 goals in their last 6 games continues, that's almost 4 per game, then Winnipeg plus 110 has built-in value. Yes, Anaheim won 3 straight. Yes, they won 10 of their last 12. Yes, they've scored at least 4 goals in each of their last 3 games and all of those were wins. But they've also given up 3 goals in multiple games recently, they have that 7-4 loss, they're coming off a 6-5 win. And defensively I just don't trust them to get enough stops against a team that long-term does not give up much and expects to be the better team in goal. So when I put it all together, I keep coming back to Winnipeg plus 110. That's why the lean sticks at Winnipeg plus 110. Quick pause, if you've got an even one lean you like so far, whether it's Washington is the home favorites, Winnipeg plus 110, Utah laying the 135, or one of the 2-player prop angles, hit that like button right now. That tells me these full NHL breakdowns are worth grinding through every slate. And if you want more raw, thinking out loud hockey analysis like this all season long, hit subscribe. It takes a second for you, but it means everything to the channel and helps Beyond the Box Score keep growing. Minnesota at Utah, the lean here is Utah at home laying the 135. Let me walk through why. I'm looking at Minnesota at Utah and immediately I'm thinking about schedule and elevation. Minnesota entered Thursday night action on a 5-game winning streak, and that's real momentum, 5 straight is confidence, that's rhythm. But they had a game at Colorado, and this is being looked at from a back-to-back spot. They were playing at elevation in Colorado last night, and now again at elevation at Utah. That's not trivial. If this matchup plays out like fatigue creeps in late, like legs are a half step slower in the third period, that's where this flips. Minnesota entered that Colorado game on a 5-game winning streak, but regardless of win or lose there, this is still a road team in a back-to-back spot, at elevation again. Meanwhile, Utah is coming off a 4-2 loss to Colorado. That was a home loss, so they're sitting with that taste in their mouth. Prior to that loss they had back-to-back wins, and they had won 6 of their last 7 games at home prior to losing to the Avalanche. So what connects for me is situational alignment. You have a rested home favorite at a decent price here, and you have a road team that's going to be in a back-to-back spot. Utah is at home, coming off a loss, 4-2 to Colorado, and before that they had back-to-back wins and had won 6 of their last 7 games at home prior to losing to the Avalanche. If this matchup plays out like Utah leans into that home strength again, and Minnesota shows even a small dip from playing at elevation in Colorado last night and now again at elevation at Utah, that's enough of a swing for me. I keep circling the phrase rested home favorite versus road team in a back-to-back spot. That's the betting situation angle. Minnesota had that 5-game winning streak entering Thursday night action, but this is about the spot. And the early line is 135. We're going to lay the 135 here with Utah on home ice. Early line, 135. If Utah's home form that saw them win 6 of their last 7 games at home shows back up, and if Minnesota's legs feel that back-to-back at elevation, then this sets up very nice. So when I stack it, 5-game winning streak entering Thursday for Minnesota, game at Colorado, back-to-back, elevation in Colorado last night and now again at elevation at Utah, versus Utah coming off a 4-2 home loss to Colorado. But prior back-to-back wins in 6 of their last 7 games at home prior to losing to the Avalanche, it just aligns. Rested home favorite, road team in a back-to-back spot. Lay the 135. That's why the lean sticks at Utah at home laying the 135. Alright, that wraps it up for all 3 NHL matchups on February 27th, Golden Knights at Capitals, Winnipeg at Anaheim, and Minnesota at Utah, plus the 2-player prop angles I'm targeting if these scripts unfold the way I'm seeing them. As always, this is analysis and opinion only, nothing guaranteed, just me connecting the trends, the goalie matchups, the back-to-back spots, the home ice edges, and how these games could play out shift by shift. I'm really curious how you're reading this slate, so drop AZ in the comments and tell me which side or prop you're riding tonight. Are you with Washington as the home favorites, Winnipeg plus 110, Utah laying the 135, or are you seeing a totally different angle? More NHL breakdowns coming soon, same raw format, same deep dives, same beyond the box score energy.